Hello and welcome to another trip report. Today we're flying on Spring Airlines Airbus A320 from here in Singapore to Shanghai. We need to take a shuttle bus because we are departing from Terminal 4. We are now at Terminal 4, which seemingly is where all the low-cost airlines are, and also Cathay Pacific and Hainan for some reason. Let's go check in. Check-in took 28 minutes for me. The queue was not long, but at the desk, it took quite a while. When I booked this flight, on the website it said I could take 7 kgs of carry-on, but at the desk they told me that I could only bring a small backpack. So I spent 250 Chinese yuan to buy 10 kgs of checked bag that I was promised for free when I booked it. But hey, at least this flight was only $620 US, plus another $110 of tax. Security took less than 10 minutes. It was very quick and efficient. For some reason, airports in Southeast Asia loves putting the security at the gate, but in this terminal, security was centralized, unlike the 3 other terminals in Singapore. Wow, real trees. This is probably the only international departures area that I have been where you can see the land side. My flight was supposed to depart at 10:40 p.m. but it got delayed. But at least boarding started on time, at the scheduled delayed boarding time. Another weird thing about Terminal 4 is that it is the only terminal in Singapore which separates arriving and departing passengers. So our plan for today is the Airbus A320neo, registered Bravo-307 November, newly delivered to Spring Airlines in February 2019. So this is my seat for today, 9 Alpha. The airline really spent the bare minimum on the seats. This is the sad-looking tiny tray table without even a clip. Here is the seat back pocket. The legroom is the worst I have ever seen. It's even worse than Jetstar. And the seat is your typical low-cost airline leather seats. There seems to be only around 60 people on the flight, meaning there is 126 empty seats. And somehow Spring Airlines was the most profitable airline in China in 2024. And after seeing that baggage policy, I can see why. We pushed back 42 minutes behind schedule at 11:22 p.m. We took off at 11:35 p.m., which is 55 minutes after scheduled departure. Around 20 minutes after takeoff, the lights turned back on for the service. Let's take a look at the menu. The food is more expensive than AirAsia, and it's probably not as good quality. Also, the selection is nowhere as good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the cruising altitude. As a precaution against sudden turbulence,
the second it was midnight, the service started. At this point, I just wanted to sleep, so I didn't order anything. Because of the lack of passengers on board, the service was already finished in 15 minutes. I did not sleep well, but at least I slept. And before I knew it, we started to approach into Shanghai. We landed 32 minutes behind schedule at 4:17 a.m. and we got into the gates 6 minutes later. Overall, that was not a nice flight, but it's low-cost airline, so what do you expect? I got out in just 6 minutes because there was no one on the plane and not much traffic at this time. Welcome to a freezing and empty Shanghai. Remind me to never book and red eye like this, and also book Singapore Airlines next time. The tragic thing is, Singapore Airlines was actually cheaper than this flight. However, I booked 3 days too late. Immigration was completely empty, well, obviously because it's literally 4 a.m. It's before the morning bank where all the long-haul flights arrive at around 5 a.m. Maybe the airport could invest in an aircon system because it was absolutely freezing, and it didn't help that I just came from Singapore, which was super hot. But anyways, that's it for today, and see you next time. Bye!